Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Mind your business. Only on Money FM 89.3.
Thanks for joining us on Money FM 89.3 with me, Ryan Huang. Now, the mental health of the modern workforce is no longer a nice to have. It's a business critical issue as companies worldwide navigate hybrid models, rising stress levels, and evolving employee expectations. The need to understand and actively support workplace well-being has never been more urgent. According to Intellect's Workplace Wellbeing 360 Report 2025, it is not traditional traits like goal orientation or growth mindset or hustle culture. It's mental well-being. Drawing from the experiences of over 50,000 employees across 182 countries, the report sheds light on how mental well-being directly impacts productivity, why presenteeism is quietly costing companies billions, and what organizations can do to reverse the trend. To help us unpack these findings and explore the tangible steps businesses can take to pinpoint unique pain points and design smarter interventions, we are pleased to welcome on the show Dr. Oliver Suendermann, Vice President of Clinical at Intellect. Dr. Oliver, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for having me on your show.
Great to have you on because we've got a bit of a study for you to help us unpack. So following your initial benchmarking study back in 2024, the second edition of your annual Workplace Wellbeing 360 report reviews new insights about the state of mental health in organizations. What was the core motivation behind this report?
So we wanted to expand the scope of workplace well-being to the global workforce. And really our goal was to compare workplace well-being across 10 industries globally and give business a data-driven perspective on where their industry and their organization stands in comparison to the global benchmarks.
Okay, so what trends or red flags stood out for you in this year's data?
So the biggest trend we observed was that really mental well-being is the strongest predictor of productivity. And that is no small feat. So organizations that invest in the well-being of their employees, they not only perform better, they have a higher stock price, they see higher company valuation, and it directly translates to better business performance. The other trend we saw is a positive trend. We saw that in Singapore, Malaysia, and Vietnam, employees generally feel more supported by their organization when it comes to employee well-being.
Yeah, very nice. So it kind of makes sense to invest in it. And Singapore ranked among the top 3 countries globally in overall workplace well-being. Quite a significant achievement. What are some of the cultural, corporate, or policy level shifts that you believe might have contributed to this?
Singapore really ranked across various of our scores, employee well-being, organizational support, engagement in the top 3 regionally and globally. And that is quite exciting to see for us. And we think one of the key sort of drivers for this is, one, the government support we see locally here in Singapore. As you know, the government is very strong, very vocal on mental health. The National Mental Health and Wellbeing Strategy has a core focus area, Area 4, which focuses on workplace mental health. So it's a core government focus area. But also corporates are increasingly understanding the need for improving their employees' mental health. So there's a growing awareness on the corporate side. And culturally, we do really see a national mindset shift. It's really the new normal where mental health is really part of how we work. And to give you one example, especially younger employees are more comfortable talking about their mental health. So the other day when I came to office at Intellect, in the pantry, there was a group of young employees who spoke about their counseling experience. And think about that. Just a few years ago, people would have probably not wanted to talk about that they have help for their mental well-being.
Yeah, the conversation has kind of shifted. It's become more embraced, more accepted to have chats about this in the workplace. So let's talk about what the perception is right now. It's seen still in some quarters as a soft issue, despite the growing evidence that there is some impact on the business. Now, how much is this still, in that sense, a lot of room to go? How much progress have we made in that sense?
So I think we have come a very long way when it comes to awareness. We're talking more about mental health nowadays, but when it comes to actual support for employees on the ground, we're still focusing a lot more on the what we call reactive care, so crisis support. So traditional employee assistance programs, they usually provide a helpline where people can call in times of crisis. They provide clinical support for things like depression, anxiety. But a comprehensive solution also looks at the proactive side. So just like going to the gym to improve your health or eating healthily, we work with companies to improve mental health proactively, preventatively. So that's a key sort of shift that we are understanding more and more, that we should invest in mental health upfront, not wait until it's too late, but actually build up resilience on a day-to-day level.
All right. And your report also highlights that presenteeism costs employers nearly 3 times more than absenteeism. But it often goes unnoticed. Give us a bit of an overview what presenteeism is defined as.
That's a great question, a very important one. So presenteeism really refers to productivity losses due to mental or physical health issues. And it hides in plain sight.
Right, so you're there, but you're not actually there.
Exactly. So when you're absent, it's a bit more obvious. You take an MC, you're not at work. You're off work. But when you're physically present, but you're not focused, you're distracted because of, say, you have some stress issues or you have emotional challenges. So you're there, but you're not productive. And that is the challenge because oftentimes, employees who are not working productively, they're sort of, they're misframed as perhaps having low motivation, not being engaged fully, when actually the real issue is they're having mental health issues.
Yeah, how big of an issue is this? How prevalent is this and how much does it cost the company potentially?
So there was actually a landmark study done by Duke NUS and IMH a couple of years ago that found that it costs the economy $14 billion annually in Singapore alone. And presenteeism really comes out as the highest cost factor. And we found the same in the Intellect benchmarking report, that costs of presenteeism is 3 times more than absenteeism. So we're talking about, globally, we've seen an 8% rise in presenteeism. And think about it, if a person's salary, say, is $5,000 and 10% sort of drop in productivity costs you $500. So there you go. So then add this up over your workforce and we're talking real dollars. So to give you an idea, about 10 to 15% of employees typically fall in the mental health sort of range where they experience depression, anxiety, or stress.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to highlight how many of these underlying issues have to be surfaced, and there should be a way for companies to figure out what's going wrong. So I think this is a great time to get your advice. What are some of the early warning signs that companies often miss when it comes to declining mental well-being, and how does Intellect come in to help surface these insights in real time?
Right. So some typical signs are employees who usually have done very well start missing deadlines. Perhaps they look a bit different. Maybe they look very tired. So really you want to look out for change. Are they missing deadlines? Has the quality of their work dropped? And so on. So one of the things we do is we offer mental health first aid. Intellect is the sole licensee in Singapore. We train employees and managers to understand mental health. And more importantly, we give the practical skills, or we build up practical skills to identify these warning signs and to do something about it, to have safe conversations around mental health. And we really take a holistic approach to mental health. There's 3 really approaches, 3 layers here. We give access to employees, a whole stack of mental health services from proactive to reactive. We train managers in understanding mental health better through mental health first aid. And we work with the leaders and the HR of the organization to improve the work culture around mental health. So things like having C-suite people or senior managers openly promote mental health initiatives. So it's not enough just to give your people access to care. You also need to communicate about mental health in the company, and you need to do that on a continuous basis. And most importantly, we don't just give companies tools, we really measure what works. So you need to give the company the data to show that your initiatives actually translate into better workplace well-being and productivity. And that's also highlighted in the National Mental Health and Wellbeing Strategy by the government. Employers are supposed to roll out evidence-based solutions and then measure the impact.
Yeah, that's a very important point, because if I'm a business owner or a leader, I want to see results and to really know that this is paying off for me, and to know that I should be investing in this. So what sort of data or measurement metrics should I be looking at? How do I measure success?
Okay. So traditional metrics are looking at utilization. So you want to know how many of your people per month, per year, per quarter are using your proactive and more reactive mental health tools. That's the basis. But what you really want to know is the change in outcomes. You want to know whether people actually have reduced depression, reduced anxiety, improved productivity. You want to look at retention, and you want to measure the awareness around mental health, so culture change. So we give companies a very powerful AI-powered HR dashboard where you can slice the metrics accordingly. So you can look at where in my company is, say, the burnout risk the highest. So you slice it by department. We always protect the individual data, but at the aggregate level, you can try and understand and get a better sense of where your workforce stands. And then with the insights, importantly, you need to then take action.
All right, so a very timely and also important conversation to have around mental well-being at the workplace. And helping us out this morning is Dr. Oliver Suendermann. He is the Vice President for Clinical at Intellect. Dr. Oliver, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.